Hello everyone and welcome back to the Model World. This here is going to be update 2.2 of my Model World that is going to be available for download as this video goes out. You can download it for the link in my video description that is going to be taking you to my Planet Minecraft page, and you'll be able to download it from the Model World project page. So it'll be really straightforward, really easy to get that and download it if you guys are interested. And a lot of good stuff has been added in this update, especially in our ground vehicle section, so I'm very excited to cover it all and to show it all off. As always, if you do head over to my Planet Minecraft, I'd highly recommend checking it out. I am posting a lot of projects there with downloads that are probably or may never get tutorials on the channel, so I definitely recommend head on over there and you can download individual projects as well as see some of my latest projects that I post on there. I've been pretty good about being active on there. Haven't posted in a little bit because I've had a busy few weeks, but I definitely just want to plug that because there's a lot of really cool stuff on there. And even if you cannot download it like you're on Bedrock, there actually are 3D views you can use. So you can actually 3D view the model itself and build it from that. So a lot of good stuff on there. Definitely recommend checking out my Planet Minecraft. But with that, let's go ahead and dive in here to everything that's been added into our new Model World in update 2.2. Now, as you can all see here, the logo in the world spawn has finally been updated. So it has the new logo that I'm using on the channel. So really happy to finally get that updated and put in. And as you can see, it looks really good. Just makes the spawn all that much better because we actually have the current logo on the channel. So very happy with that. I think it came out really good and looks great pixel art wise. Also, some overall world changes is I added Israel and Denmark to the Cold War Modern Warfare section, and we'll be taking a look at those here shortly. I also added South Korea to the Cold War / Modern Warfare Air section, and then I've also added Canada to the World War I and World War II ground section. And then we also have a new display set up for sea/float planes in our aircraft section, and we'll get to that here a little bit later. And yes, we do have some seaplanes to take a look at, so that's pretty exciting there as well. With that though, that's it kind of on the overall world changes and everything dealing with spawn. Let's go ahead and dive into the ground vehicle section, starting with our World War II section. So as you can already tell, our World War II ground section looks very different, and this is going to be mainly in our American section that's had a lot of additions. And while it looks like a lot of vehicles, it is, but they're pretty much all Sherman variants. And I'm nowhere close to being done with them all, but yeah, a lot of Sherman variants, and you can just see how ridiculous it looks. But first off, we do have a little bit of revisions here on the M4 A3E8, so nothing too crazy about it, just updated some stuff here and there, moving some different styles, techniques to make it, and I think it looks really good. So again, nothing too crazy, just received a few little changes here and there compared to the previous model. Next one that we have up here is going to be the M4A1 Sherman. So just your standard intro production model. So really good stuff there. And then we have the M4 Sherman. So the one that came out after it. Then we have the M4A2 Sherman. And then we have the M4A1 76W. So basically just the 76mm mounted onto the M4A1. So it's got the different turret, the very similar turret to that of the E8. Then right next to it, we have the M4A2 76W Sherman. So again, just the M2 or the M4A2 with the 76mm gun. And then we have the M4A3 Sherman. So again, this is pretty much your Easy 8, just a little bit slightly different. So good stuff there. And then we have the M4A3 Sherman, so it's the standard kind of main production model that is pretty much the most iconic throughout the war. So that was nice there. And then we have the M4A3E2 Sherman, so this is the jumbo. A little bit harder to do at this scale, but really the main difference here is you're going to have those trapdoors on the sides there to kind of just show the up-armored effect of it, the extra armor. But pretty much just the same thing as a majority of the vehicles. And also the turret has a short build barrel 75, but it has the longer barrel turret on it. And then we have the M4A3E2 with the 76mm gun. So again, pretty much just your jumbo with a longer gun. Then we have the T-34 Calliope. I believe this is on the just standard M4A3 tank. So you have the Calliope there. And then next to it, we have the M4A3 105. So just again, the Sherman tank with a 105mm gun. So a little bit of a short barrel there. And then we have the M10 GMC Wolverine, and I'm actually pretty happy with the way this came out at this scale. Definitely a trickier build to do with all the weird angles and stuff on it. But yeah, pretty happy with it. So the M10 Wolverine. And keeping with the theme of the tank destroyers on the M4 chassis, we have the M36 GMC Jackson. So this one's also nice. Pretty happy with the turret there. And then next we have the M36 B2 GMC Jackson. So this one here just has a closed turret top. And that's pretty much really only the difference between the two. Then the next one we have here is going to be the T40 Whizbang. So again, just on an M4A3 tank, we have the Whizbang, which is just an MLRS or multiple launch rocket system mounted on the top, very similar to that of the Calliope, but not as well known. We then have the M7 Priest, so the self-propelled gun version, and this pretty much is all self-propelled gun versions here. So the next one we have here is the M12 GMC. So that's a larger, I believe is a 155 millimeter gun. And we have two different versions, one which is the gun forward, and then the one with the gun actually angled and the bracing on the back here lowered and all that stuff. So that's that one. And then the next one here is going to be the M40 GMC, which I believe had a bit of a larger gun. This one might have been a little bit different, but this is kind of heavier artillery here. So again, we have a version with the gun at an angle here, the supports and like the, little, I guess, platform to stand on lowered and all that stuff. So you have the two different versions there for it. And then the next one we have here is going to be the ammo carrier. So this is the M30. I don't think this actually ever went into full-scale production, but it was a model that they were working on and designed and all that. But it's pretty cool, just a ammo carrier. And this is actually on a widened Sherman chassis. So the reason why it looks a little bit wider is actually because it was on a widened Sherman chassis, but it was still technically a Sherman variant. So it's kind of interesting to see a 5-wide Sherman here, but you can see pretty interesting stuff there. So that was the ammo carrier version for these two weapon systems. And then we had the M43, which was, I think, a 203 millimeter cannon or something, or artillery gun. And again, pretty much the same thing there. We got the two different platforms and stuff like that. So overall, some pretty cool vehicles here added in. Again, pretty much all just Sherman variants added in, but there's a lot of good stuff with the Shermans, and it was the main tank used by the United States during the war. So I don't have any problem building tons of Shermans, but really happy with the way these all came out. And with that, we're going to go and dive back to the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union has actually seen some really awesome additions. I think these are actually some of the older builds on this world, and I want to say that these were built in a live stream if I remember correctly. But first off, we have the IS-1 here. This one came out really, really good, so really happy with that. So we have the IS-1 right there, and then we have the IS-2, so very similar two tanks with just some minor differences between the two. And then once we have, or after that, we do have the IS-2 Mod 1944. So it's a bit of a different model. I mean, technically the Mod 1944 never existed, but this is based off of the regiment that rolled into Berlin, so it had the white turret markings and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the main difference there between those tanks. Then next up, we have the T-34 Mod 1940. So very difficult tank to build at this scale, but honestly, not too mad with the way it came out. So got the early version of the T-34, and then we have the 1941 version, so slightly different there. And then we have the 1942 version. So very weird tanks, and again, one of the harder tanks you can build at this scale, just due to the weird shaping and weird setup. And the T-34 honestly has always been a very difficult tank to rebuild, but pretty happy with that. So some really good additions to the Soviet line. And with that, let's go ahead and dive on back to the United Kingdom. So diving on back to the United Kingdom, we have the Churchill Mark 7. So really good stuff here. Nice Churchill. I believe this was definitely built in a live stream if I remember correctly. So really nice tank, and came out very good. You can see actually right here, those trapdoors got a little messed up. So, but yeah, really good looking build. Very happy with the way that came out. Then next up, we have kind of a start here of the War Thunder tech tree. We have the A-13 Mark I cruiser tank. So very interesting tank here, and a lot of these early British tanks are very ugly looking, to say the least. We have the A-13 Mark II, so just a little bit of a different version compared to the previous one. Then next to it, we have the A13 Mark I, and this is a special regiment color scheme on it. So it's got like some yellow markings and kind of a black and green color scheme, which is pretty cool. And then next to it, we have the A13 Mark II, 1939. So again, this is based off some regiments and stuff like that. Again, based off the War Thunder model. So it's got some different markings and camouflage on it, which looks really nice. Then we have the Light Tank Mark VII, which is the Tetrarch. So little light tank here, which looks pretty good. And then we have the Daimler Mark II, so armored car here for the British. Again, very small, compact vehicle. And then the next one we have here is going to be Canada, and this is our first World War II Canadian vehicle in the world, and this is the M4A5 Ram 2. So I believe a prototype version of the Sherman that the Canadians were designing, but I don't think it ever went into full-scale production, if I remember correctly. But yeah, really ugly, cursed-looking version of the Sherman, that's for sure. But definitely love it. I think it looks really cool. And then going back to Japan, we do have some new additions as well. Japan here, we have the Igoko. So the Japanese Igoko, very interesting little tank here in brown as well. And then we have the Type 5 Chiri 2, which again looks pretty nice, and an experimental tank from the Japanese at the time. But that is going to cover everything new that's in the World War I, World War II section. So not a whole lot added, but good to see some growth in some of these lines. Definitely need to get on in some of the German vehicles, as those are typically my favorite, but I just haven't been building any for some reason. But yeah, so some really good stuff added into our World War I, World War II section. And of course, we're going to move into the largest section, which is going to be the Cold War Modern Warfare section, right over here. So starting off with, we actually have no additions to the United States, surprisingly, but we have a lot of really cool additions in other countries that you probably wouldn't expect. So I'm very happy to, build some other stuff here. But of course, the Soviet Union, we have some new additions with them throughout the line. But the first one here is the T-55A. So finally built a T-55. Looks really good, but I needed the model for some other projects I was working on and everything. So decided to build the standard version of the T-55 and all that. But yeah, that's up here in the forward section here of the line, and the rest of it is going to be at the back. So moving down the line a little bit, we don't have any more T-55s in this line, but I do have quite a bit of cool stuff here. I went for a little kick where I was building a lot of the MAZ 548 chassis-based vehicles. So the first one we have here is the 9K72 Elbrus, which is, again, a missile launcher, or TEL, I think is what they call them, missile TEL. But yeah, so basically we have the two versions here. We have the one with the missile upwards like that, and then we have one here with the vehicle just transiting the missile. So really nothing too fancy between those two, but really nice stuff. We also have a MAZ 543, which is also known as the AA60, and this is a fire truck version of it as well. Really cool stuff, so probably what you'd see at airports and all that, but really love the look of it, and something a little bit different. Adds a splash of color to the line for sure. Then next up right here, we have the MAZ 543 with the BM30 Smirch on it. So again, a multiple rocket launcher system. So you have the base vehicle and then this big rocket system on the back here. So you can see we have two versions, the transit mode here, and then the version here with it, lifted up and kind of in a firing type position. And this one also has a little bit of a camouflage on it, which I think was based off of a version that was in a Moscow parade. Then next to it, we have the MAZ 74106, which is a heavy truck version, which I believe was only used to carry or transport a radar system. I think this specific variant was designed for it. But yeah, so just a semi-truck version of it, or a heavy transporter truck version. Then next to it, we have the SNR 125 Low Blow, which is a fire control radar system, which was actually used with the very popular, I think it was the S3 surface-to-air missile system developed by the Soviet Union. So this just kind of a little cart here, and you have the radar system on top there, which is pretty cool. It's kind of confusing to look at, but when you see pictures of it, you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. It's kind of a weird radar system for sure. Kind of looks like a robot in certain angles. And then next to it, we have the 4K51 Rusba, which is a coastal anti-ship missile system. So again, we have the standard just transported version here, so really nothing too crazy. And then next to it, we actually have a firing position one, so it actually would turn the weapon system to the side, and it would actually fire the missiles out the side like that. And these are, again, anti-ship missiles, so coastal to sea-based missiles. But yeah, really cool stuff. So you can actually see the missiles sticking out there, and like the hatches that would open up on side. So really happy with that model. He came out really good. So again, developed by the Soviet Union and used by a few other countries. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Soviet Union section. For just the normal size, we do have something in the oversized section, but we'll get to that soon. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to Poland. Moving into our Polish section, again, this is in the German and France section here, so kind of our European section. We have the MAZ 543 with the SNR 125 low blow. So this is actually a weapon system developed by Poland, where they actually reused some of their old Elbrus launcher trucks and converted it into this mobile radar system, which again is used with this S3 system over here, surface-to-air missile system. So they actually kind of made a mobile version of it, which is really cool, and of course has that really cool black, brown, green camouflage on it. And you can see the low blow here is mounted on the rear of the vehicle. So really cool stuff for that, and that's that right there. And this truck is designed to work with this vehicle as well. And this here is the S125 NUA SC. So this is the surface-to-air missile system. It might be known as the S125. I can't remember the exact name for it, but very popular Soviet surface-to-air missile systems. You can see we have 4 missiles here, and this is actually mounted on a T-55 chassis. So again, developed by Poland, and is a weapon system that they actually use. So really cool stuff, where basically they were taking Soviet tech and modifying it to fit their needs and be more mobile. But yeah, really cool stuff. Absolutely love these 2 additions to the world, and I think they're super cool. So that's pretty much it for the Polish section. And with that, we're going to move back to Romania. So moving back to Romania here is going to be in our Italian and Czechoslovakian, Ukraine, Greek lineup that we have here. So kind of a Eastern European type vibe. But we have a lot of really cool additions here. Well, really only one. This is the Rusba. So what we had before, the same vehicle, but this was actually designed in Romanian. I think Romania is actually the only operator that still uses this, and this is a camouflage, I believe, from around 2010 that they used, where they had like this green and brown color scheme, which looks ridiculous, but I thought it was really cool and wanted to build it. Of course, they had the Romanian flag there on the front there. But yeah, really cool stuff there. Again, same design as the other one. You got the missiles and stuff like that popping out, and the firing and transit mode for the 2. But I wanted to build it just because it had a really cool color scheme on it and was just super unique in my opinion. So very happy with the way that came out, and a nice addition to our Romanian section, which I think we only had one other vehicle in. So that's pretty nice. But with that, we're going to move back to our Nordic section with Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and Norway. So I believe in the last update I was talking about how I was building the entire tech tree of Sweden in War Thunder, and I've pretty much completed it. I think there's a few things like just standard like T-34s, T-55s, which are the same thing, just with a little roundo on the side. So I decided not to include those because I felt it was a little cheap. But really what it is we pretty much have everything else completed here for the lineup. The first one here is going to be the CV90-30 Finn, so the Finnish version of the CV90. So really cool stuff there. It's got that nice camouflage on it. Then we have the Swedish version here, which is the STRF 9040B. So again, just the Sweden military version, and then the more well-known one, which is the STRF 9040C. So bit of the up-armored, upgraded version of the vehicle. Then we also have a experimental version, which is the 90 with 120 millimeter gun on it. So same chassis, but just a larger gun. And then the next one we have here is is actually for Denmark, and this is the CV90-35DK, so a Denmark designed variant. And then we have the LVKV 9040C, which was a anti-aircraft version, if I remember correctly. It was a bit of a weird one. I'm pretty sure it was anti-aircraft though. But yeah, so just a different version there of the CV90. We also have the 9040 Bill, which again was a experimental one. I think this one had like anti-tank missiles and stuff, so a little bit more of a armor fighting capability. And then we have the 9105, which again experimental version that had a 105mm turret on the vehicle. And then next to it, we had the T55 Marksman, which was a Finnish design where they mounted the Marksman system on a T55 chassis. So again, you can see where I need the T55. So that is the sole reason I built it, was just to get the chassis for it and put it onto these builds. So that's that. Then next up, we have the STRV-121 main battle tank, which I believe is just a Leopard 1, if I remember correctly. Just a Swedish Leopard 1. And the next one we have here is the STRV-122B POSS, which again is a Leopard variant that's just, Swedenized. Next up, we have some finished vehicles here. This is the Sisu XA-180 Posse, so an armored personnel carrier. This is just the base version. I needed to design this because I needed to build this anti-aircraft system, which is the ITO-90M. So a surface-to-air anti-aircraft missile system. And then next up to it, we have the Patria AMV, which uses that 105mm gun that the 90 was used in the CV90, but this one here is mounted onto a armor personnel carrier, which I think is actually one of the more later models that they have. And then we have Norway, which is here now, and this is the Leopard 1A5N02, which is again a Leopard just with some Norway themed and has a bit of different designs and stuff like that on it. But overall, really cool stuff here for the lineup. Just a lot of good stuff, a lot of CV90s. Pretty much every variant that they ever made is here now. But yeah, this line has expanded quite a bit here, and is completely done, I think, for right now. Until there's some more vehicles added in War Thunder or some off-ball stuff I stumble across. But yeah, everything in War Thunder is actually built in here now, besides those duplicate designs and stuff like that. But with that, that's going to be it for this section here, and we're going to go ahead and move back to our Middle Eastern section. So I've also started work on the War Thunder tech tree for Israel. A lot of really good builds in that, but we have quite a few new additions here, mainly a lot on some Sherman variants. But the first one we have here is the M51, which again is a modified Sherman, just kind of upgraded, upgunned, really sick model for it. And then we have the Shot, which is a Centurion version that they used. Then next up we have a little bit of an upgraded version, which is the M51W. Really not sure the main differences except for the little light there on it, but pretty much the same tank. Then we have the Shot Kal Aleph, which again is a Centurion model that they've modified. And then the Shot Kal Gimel, again a Centurion just with a ton of guns on it, as you can see. It's this ridiculous amount of machine guns that Timer Israel was just putting as many machine guns on the tank as they possibly could. And then next to it, we have the Shot Kal Dalet. So the kind of peak Centurion model for the Israelis. So a little bit of a cool design for it. So that's pretty sick. And then I got some oddball type stuff here with the Shermans. The first one being here, the Isle, which is the observation platform. So we have just the standard version with the platform lowered, and then you actually have the platform extended. And it's a really interesting build. I'm not exactly sure the purpose of really this for Israel, except for maybe looking over sand dunes or something. But yeah, there's an observation platform where you would have somebody sitting up here and I guess able to look in the distance. So who knows? But yeah, that's what that is there. And then the next one we have here is the MAR 240, which is a multiple rocket launch system. Again, we have kind of the transit mode version, and then the firing position, which has all these racks here for multiple missiles and stuff like that, multiple rockets, I should say. So very interesting stuff there, and that's what I've added in for Israel. Then we have some additions here for Iraq. The first one here is the T-55A, so just their version of the T55, just really kind of in a sand color. And then we have the domestic made, or their own version of the T55, which is the Enigma, and it just has some extra armor around it and stuff like that. But this is a Iraqi made tank that is solely theirs. So very cool stuff there for that. So some really good additions here to that. And with that, we'll move into the oversized section for our modern and Cold War section. So in our modern Cold War section, we do have a few new additions here as well. The first one here is going to be the MAZ 74106 with the 64N6 Big Bird. So this is again air surveillance radar. It's pretty much the same trailer that we have over there, which we can actually take a look at that real quick. I forget the NATO name for it, but we have this version over here, which is the Tombstone, and this is the newer version that's used with the S-400 missile system. This radar over here was used for the older S-300 missile system, but yeah, pretty much the main difference here is we just have a different truck towing it. So still pretty cool systems there and added into the world. And then we have the next build here, which is the MAZ 547 with the RSD-10 Pioneer, or Pioneer, whatever you want to call it. And this is again just a ballistic missile launcher, TEL, and we have two different versions of it. So we got the one where it's in a firing position, got the big rocket tube here, which would open up and the missile would fire out, and again, you have the transit version of it. So some really cool additions there for that. But that is going to pretty much complete everything we have for our ground section. And with that, we'll move into our aircraft section. So starting off with our World War II and World War I section for aircraft, we have the only country that saw some additions was actually the United Kingdom. And got some really cool builds here, if I'm being honest. We have the first one here, which is the Fairley Swordfish. So we have it up here kind of in the iconic blue-brown top color and then the white undercolor, but really nice detail in this build. I really do love it. We have the torpedo under it, which of course it was known for, carrying torpedoes in the crew position here, the tail gunner, some really nice detail all the way around, but that's not even the best part of it. I also have a landed version, and this is the first landed version I actually built freehand, so I wasn't using any mods or anything like that to actually angle this aircraft, and I actually am pretty happy with the way it came out. We got the torpedo on the bottom there. You have the aircraft, and again, it really resembles the Swordfish pretty well, even though it's at a slight angle. So very happy with the way that came out. And I didn't stop there. I actually built the version of the Swordfish also with the wings folded back. So it would actually be how they would store it on aircraft carriers and everything. So that was really cool. I'm very happy the way that came out, and I think it looks really great. So that's just the normal Swordfish, and then we have another version of it, which was actually a seaplane version, or a float plane. And as you can see, it's got the big floats on the bottom here. The crew compartment, everything's the same, except this one's in a gray color scheme, a metallic color scheme. And of course, you have the in-flight version. Really nothing too crazy about it. And then we have, again, the float plane version, but this one has the wings back. So again, could have the same features and stuff like that and store it or whatever on a seaplane tender or whatever may be carrying this. Then next up, we have the albacore. So this is the Fairley albacore, which is very similar to that of the Swordfish. I think this one might have been a later version of it, or a bit of an upgraded version compared to the Swordfish. But yeah, we got the albacore, obviously a landed version for it, and the landed version here with the wings folded back. And I absolutely love the landed version of the albacore. I think this one came out really good. Definitely, I think, a little bit better than the Swordfish did. But you can see we have the in-flight model here. So this is what it looks like in flight. But again, really great detail in this model. And it's got the green, or the green and blue color scheme on it. So very nice stuff there for it. And of course, we have the big torpedo on the bottom, which the albacore was a torpedo bomber, just like the Swordfish. So again, some really nice models. And also, as you can see here for the seaplanes, this is also my new way of displaying seaplanes in the water. So I think it's really nice, kind of a clean looking design here with just using some barrier blocks and creating a little bit of a water patch. And I think it looks good. It doesn't look like too crazy or whatever, and it's very nice and clean looking. And you can see I also went ahead and updated the plot here for the Kingfisher as well. So they're all basically being displayed how they should be in the water. So that's that right there. And then the next build we have here is actually going to be the Supermarine Walrus. So this was a reconnaissance aircraft or seaplane. So a bit of a smaller plane, but really interesting design here with the engine mounted up here in the top. But yeah, just I think they had a lot of these on like a lot of the battleships and stuff. These were like their reconnaissance aircraft that they used. So all in a solid blue color scheme as well, which looks really nice. So again, a lot of really great detail on it. And was having a lot of fun building these British aircraft for sure. But that's it for the World War I, World War II section. And with that, let's go ahead and move on over to the modern section. So in our Cold War modern section, I have a new aircraft added into the Soviet Union section. This is going to be the Yak-17. I think this is actually my first time ever building it. I don't think I ever did a 2-to-1 version of it. But yeah, just the Yak-17 here in a nice green color scheme. One of the early Soviet jet fighters during the time, but very happy with it. And of course, we have the landed version and an in-flight version as well for it. So again, very happy with the way that came out. I think it's an awesome build. Right behind them, we have the United Kingdom, which has some new additions here. So we have the Lynx H Mark I. So this is the attack version of it. Has the mounted gun right here, which is either 20 or 30 mil. Can't remember. And then we have the rocket pods mounted on the sides here. And of course, the iconic gray and green color scheme that they use. But very happy with the Lynx. I think it came out really good, and I tried a new design here for the skids of it, and very happy with it. So, really nice looking helicopter, a lot of great detail on it. Yeah, overall, really good looking build. Then, right next to it, we have a new build as well. This is the AW101 Merlin medium transport helicopter. So we have two versions of the helicopter here. We have just the kind of the standard one, so really nothing too fancy about it. This one, I believe, has a couple torpedoes on it, as they use these a lot for anti-submarine warfare. So a couple small torpedoes or sonar buoys. You know, I think they're probably torpedoes, but we have that right there. And then we have just the tail of it, all that, and of course the in-flight version as well, which came out really nice. But what's really cool about this model, let me go ahead and fix this real quick before I forget. What's really cool about this model is I actually made the model here with the tail folded back. So again, some really interesting techniques I'm doing here, like the wings folded back on the Swordfish and the Albacore, but actually storing a helicopter that, in this way as well, which is something you don't see a lot and something I actually had fun doing. So we have all the rotor blades folded back, and then we have the tail kind of bent as well for storage on a carrier, as these are carrier-based helicopters. So very happy with the way those came out. And we have a second version of the Merlin, which has the large radar system on the side. I think I have the name for here, the Crow's Nest. So it's just a giant search radar that would actually fold up on the side of the aircraft when it's landed, and then actually folds down like this when it's in flight. So they use it for, again, searching for submarines and stuff like that, kind of like a sonar type design. And then, of course, we have the version of it as well with the tail folded to the side there for storage. So very happy with the way these all came out. They look absolutely awesome. I think the Merlin was my favorite helicopter I've added into the world in this update, but a lot of really nice helicopters. And then we have one more build to take a look at, and that is going to be over in South Korea. So in our Asian section here, we have South Korea, and we have the MUH-1, which is kind of, again, like a utility/attack helicopter version. The version we have here is the MA-1, Marion, something like that. But this is the more attack version. There are versions of the helicopter that doesn't have the autocannon in the front or these missiles on the side, and more of a utility helicopter. But of course, helicopters with guns always look cool, so that's why we have the gun version here. But really nice stuff overall for it, and a lot of good detail. And of course, we have the in-flight version here as well. Really no difference between the two, but yeah, it looks really good, and very happy with that, the way that all came out. But that is going to be it for our aircraft section. And I almost forgot our last section here, but construction has also seen a few additions here as well. Kind of hopping into this, the first addition we have here is this giant Cat 6060 dozer, or not dozer, but kind of bucket excavator. So this thing is absolutely massive and super sweet. So pretty cool mining excavator we have there. Then we have the D9 dozer, also a Caterpillar vehicle as well. So just your kind of standard bulldozer with the big kind of claw on the back here. So again, really nicely detailed and super good looking. Then we get into some forestry type builds. So we have a Western Star 49X, which was just a standard semi-truck. This one we actually have paired up here with this cool design here, which was actually built on one of our past live streams. But this is the John Deere 337E, which is a knuckle boom loader, and we have a couple different versions here with it on this trailer. So it would be able to basically grab logs and load logs onto trailers and stuff like that. So we kind of have like a transport version of it here. And then we have kind of just a standard standalone version of it as well. And again, a pretty interesting little thing. It's just a small cab and just an arm for picking up logs and stuff and loading vehicles. So got a couple different versions of it, which is pretty cool and came out pretty good. Next up, we have another John Deere here. This is the 848L, which is a grapple skidder, which basically just can grab multiple bunches of logs and transport them around. Has the big old tires on it and all that stuff, so looks really, really good. Then we have the John Deere 1210E, which is a foresty forwarder. So again, it has basically a knuckle boom, able to pick up logs and is able to transport and carry them in this kind of section there. So nothing too special with that. Then we get some pretty cool vehicles here. We have the Ural 43204/41 log carrier, and this is pretty cool. We actually have the trailer kind of folded up and stationary on the vehicle when not in use, and then when it is in use to carry logs, we actually have it being towed behind the vehicle. So, and you can see we also have the version here with the logs, so you can kind of get an idea of how that would look, but I think it's a really cool design and looks super sweet. So we have a cool blue and orange color scheme as well. Then right next to it, we have the Ural 43204-31. Again, another log carrier. This one has its own little knuckle boom or log loader, so it can load its own bed. And this one has a bit of a smaller bed, as you can see. And of course, we have the version here without the logs. And then we have the version with the trailer actually loaded on the back here for it. So a couple of really cool designs for that. And then we have another really sick build here. This is the Maz 543 8x8 log carrier, which I've only seen one reference picture of. So seems like it was just a one-time retrofitted thing, but a giant log carrier that has a trailer behind it, so it can carry just a mass amount of logs on it. So really cool looking build there, and it's in this cool yellow color. So just again, some unique colored builds here and all that. I'm just really happy with the way that all came out. And then also we have kind of a few other builds here. These here are basically kind of like cable internet service providers. So this is based off of like the Spectrum brand. So we have the Ford F550, which is basically a bucket truck. So used by the maintenance personnel. So has the ladder, the bucket, all that stuff. And then we have just kind of like a standard with the bucket not raised version. And then we just have the standard Ford Transit van, which is used for service techs going to and from residences and stuff like that, doing work. So again, pretty nice there. And then we have the bucket trucks as well, but this one actually has the fiber trailer on the back here. So this is used for major fiber mainline repairs or installations and stuff like that. So that big trailer in the back there is all dedicated to just fiber splicing and all that. So some really cool additions here to our construction, logging, mining, pretty much everything other than military section we got going on here. But a lot of cool stuff, and this is definitely turning into one of my favorite sections with just so many cool things there, and hopefully to see some more stuff added on soon. But that right there is now going to complete everything in the world. Let's move into the outro. So with that, guys, that's going to wrap up everything that's been added into the model world in this update. A lot of really good stuff, I think, and just a pretty good variety of content nonetheless as well. In the next updates, we'll be working on adding some more stuff, probably work on some more War Thunder tech trees, and just look at expanding some aircraft, because our aircraft section is severely lacking, but those swordfish and stuff did take up quite a bit of my time on Thursday, where I was building them all up and everything, and then doing the landed versions for them and the wings folded and stuff, just being extra. But those do take a bit of time. So, again, aircraft are just going to be one of those things that's going to take us a long time to build back up to where we had it on the 2-to-1 world. But with that, though, that's going to pretty much wrap up everything we have here that's been added in. Hopefully you all did enjoy it. And again, feel free to head on over to my Planet Minecraft and download the world for free. And explore for yourself, see some of the vehicles that are in the previous update, and see all the cool stuff and enjoy it. Now, that's why I post the download for you guys, is for you all to enjoy it and, have fun on it like I have fun building it. So with that, though, thank you all so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Garrett 204, and I'll see you guys next time.